It's hard to believe I'm saying this, but I really didn't hate this episode as much as others this season.
Do not joke with me, Zeon Pig.
Let me be clear, though. I'm not saying it's great. There are some definite issues with the show, and Star Trek Discovery is not Star Trek to me. Probably never will be.
Thank God. I was freaking out.
This episode is the fourth of season 5, titled Face is Strange, and it's written by Sean Cochran. Now, Mr. Cochran's past experience includes being a PA or serving on the production staff for a bunch of shows I've never heard of, until he eventually became a writer and producer for Star Trek Discovery. And what he basically wrote here is a filler episode, diverting from the progenitor fetch quest for a little bit. But it kind of actually feels like a Star Trek episode. It's more like one of the traditional time travel or reality shifting episodes we've seen in the past. Picard traveling through time in All Good Things, or even Worf traveling through different realities in an episode called Parallels. It turns out that Maul and Locke, remember them, are bad guys for this season apparently, have obtained a Krenim chronophage, a time bug, which is used to sabotage Discovery and get ahead of Captain Mikey and the crew in the progenitor fetch quest. Now, Krenim is actually a callback to a Voyager episode called Year of Hell, where Janeway and the crew faced off against history-altering bad guy Anorax, played by Kurtwood Smith, who you may remember as Clarence Boddicker.
Clarence Boddicker, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent.
Or even maybe Red Foreman.
Dumbass!
Bottom line is Kurtwood Smith played a bad guy, a legitimate bad guy, in a Star Trek episode, unlike the bad guys we got here.
Not a big bad.
Anyway, this time bug gets onto Discovery by hiding on Adira's uniform in the last episode. It gets into the ship's system and basically gets the ship stuck in a time loop. Burnham and Rayner were actually in the process of transporting when the bug struck, so they were not affected, and they end up jumping between the different times that Discovery shifts back and forth between. Stamets also joins in on the time jumps because apparently he was injected with tardigrade DNA back in season 1.
We need to find Stamets.
What can he do?
Well, he lives outside of time because of his tardigrade DNA.
I honestly don't remember that at all. I guess there's an episode about it. Doesn't make much sense what he does, though. He doesn't travel physically in time the way Burnham and Rayner does. Rather, he appears to travel mentally in time back to his body as it was in the past.
Whatever.
Regardless, our trio bounces through different time periods in Discovery's history, such as when the Discovery's being constructed in San Francisco, which is, of course, highlighted by the fact we see the Golden Gate Bridge. Telltale sign you're always in San Francisco. You even get to see the future where Captain Mikey failed to prevent the progenitor tech from falling into the wrong hands, and the Federation is totally wiped out. We also get to see a little bit from season 2, where Mikey ended up being the Red Angel.
That's the Red Angel. That was me.
Ultimately, the show ends in the time period of Discovery Season 1, when Mutineer Mikey is newly on the ship and the Klingon War is raging. We even get to see a fight between Captain Mikey and Mutineer Mikey when they confront each other. Now, admittedly, a lot of times we've seen, people face off against their doubles. Probably one of the first times in Star Trek was when Kirk fought his transporter double. No doubt, this looked better. Captain Mikey fighting Mutineer Mikey, but Kirk fighting Kirk was 60 years ago. And you can't beat those fantastic Kirk moves. In the end, Burnham's time-traveling trio is able to stop the bug using some technobabble solution, escape the time trap, and get back on the quest for the progenitor tech. So overall, Like I say, it was not the worst episode I've seen this season. Kind of a traditional Star Trek episode. But again, as I said, some things do stick out to me.
Surprising? No, it's not surprising.
The first being Maul and Locke are bad guys. And there's a reason why I said Anorex was a bad guy, an actual bad guy earlier. We're 4 episodes into this season, and our bad guys are completely two-dimensional. Other than basically being space pirates who found out about the progenitor tech, I don't know what their motivation is other than making money, I guess. Sell it to the highest bidder. This is not who you want as a big bad. This is not a threat. This is just a bump on the highway that Discovery has to get over. It's unworthy of a foe for an overall season arc. Another thing I don't like in this episode is the transporters. I don't remember if I've mentioned this before or not, but I just like the way transporters are used in Discovery. The transporter here is sort of a plot convenience. Burnham and Rayner's use of the transporter when the time bug attacks is the reason why they're not affected. So it's important to get them out of the time loop. But the personal transporters to me are stupid. It makes no sense. Transporters, Star Trek tech, has always had some explanation of how it works. Here, I don't get it. They just tap their badges and go. No coordinates are given. There's no locking onto any location. It's almost like there's a mental connection, I guess, and they go. So are these telepathic transporters? I don't know. I don't get it. It's more like Harry Potter than Star Trek. And the personal transporters in Discovery are used for the most menial of transports. In one episode, we see Saru and his fiance's diplomatic assistant transport from one level up to another. They don't take the stairs. They just blip, blip, back and forth. Here, we see Burnham and Rayner transport into the ready room from the bridge.
Can I speak to you in my ready room, please?
Well, what is that? Literally 20, 30 feet? You can't walk that? I swear, if they keep doing this, if they just avoid walking, they're all going to end up like the humans in WALL-E.
Hey, take the captain.
Please remain stationary.
Well, I guess Chili's, kind of halfway there already.
Right? Could I? No, it's not. It's not feasible. Is it?
But the thing that really sticks out to me and annoys me about this episode is how Burnham is able to escape the time loop, which basically is the power of friendship.
Friendship is a wondrous and powerful thing.
This episode begins with a disagreement between Burnham and Rayner on command style. They're on the bridge. They make it to the next point of the fetch quest, and nothing's there. Burnham asks for suggestions from the crew, and everyone begins speculating. Rayner dislikes this. He wants to focus on facts. And that's when we see the disagreement between Burnham and Rayner start.
So let's stick to the facts, Commander. What we know, not what we guess.
So they head back to the ready room, and that's where to discuss differences in command style. And this is something I've really noticed between Discovery and all the prior Star Trek series. Discovery, to me, has always lacked the formality of a command structure, lacked an adherence to hierarchy.
You don't think my crew is disciplined?
I think they're too familiar, too comfortable with each other, and frankly, with you.
It's just very lackadaisical. It's almost too familiar, the relations between the command crew. I'm not saying that you can't be friendly, but there doesn't seem to be an aura of command or any command structure. Here, Rayner, to me, is a more formal Starfleet command officer, like we've seen in the past. Captain Mikey, however, prefers to focus on commanding her crew through their emotional connection. And that's something the Rayner's going to have to get used to.
You're on my ship now. I expect you to do things my way.
And if my way is better.
So the time loop episode really serves as a way to teach the gruff Commander Rayner some important lessons. Yeah, that's right. We're really not focusing on the mission. We're not focusing on the story. We're teaching about interpersonal interaction. First off, friendship matters.
Because your friends are always there for you.
It's because Captain Mikey has such personal knowledge of her crew from years of serving with them and interacting with them as her friend that she's able to convince the past Discovery crew, the Klingon War Discovery crew, to help her when she's stuck in the past.
You joined Starfleet because you weren't able to save your friend when you were 15. And you love comms because you used to listen to old radio emissions in space with your grandmother.
Now, admittedly, Captain Picard does something similar in All Good Things.
I know that you are the finest crew in the fleet. And I would trust each of you with my life.
But we really never get the sense that Picard is not in command, that there's not a presence of his command. He's the captain. He's not the crew's friend, which is more, like I say, what Captain Mikey likes to do.
It's important to me that the crew be engaged and involved and encouraged to speak freely.
So basically, Rayner uses what he's learned from Mikey, the importance of the personal knowledge and connection with the crew, to help him solve the problem of the time bug, to stop the time bug. When he's confronted by a crew member in the past and mutineer Mikey, he uses the knowledge he's learned from them, from the crew member, the 20 words or less interview he had with that crew member, and from talking to Captain Mikey, how she felt when she was mutineer Mikey. He uses that personal connection to establish a bond so that he's able to complete his mission.
Let us complete our mission.
But most importantly, I think, Rayner learns that Captain Mikey is always right.
It's not lost on me how you pulled this off.
And she deserves to be captain.
You do deserve to be here. It's gonna make you into one hell of a captain.
In the end, this may be the best of this season so far. That's not saying a lot. It still sticks to the tried and true STD formula, CW style Star Trek, focusing on how great Burnham is and how much she's grown from the mutineer to the fantastic captain she is now. And honestly, Rayner's still the character I like the most so far. Despite his initial, Captain Bro Dude appearance.
70% for the win! Woo!
He's the person who seems most like a Starfleet officer on the show. And I think what interests me the most is, the dichotomy between him and Captain Burnham's fun family crew. Questions, comments, witticisms down below. Click like, click subscribe. I'll see you next time for episode 5.